divine plan is one of freedom. Bondage is not God ordained. This is the introduction to the Science of Mind text written by Ernest Holmes in the 1920s. He goes on to tell us, freedom is the birthright of every living soul. All instinctively feel this. The truth points to freedom under law, spiritual law. Thus, the inherent nature of you and I is forever seeking to express itself in terms of freedom. We do well, he tells us, to listen to this voice, this inner voice that tells us of a life wonderful in its scope, of a love beyond our fondest dreams, of a freedom of which the soul craves. This is the introduction to the founding text of the Science of Mind, of the Centers for Spiritual Living. And for me, it is the foundational why we learn to manifest. This is why we gain skills to practice metaphysics, to practice making use of spiritual law. It isn't for stuff. It isn't for the next shiny thing. It isn't so that we can participate more fully in the capitalism. It's for freedom. It's for liberation. So that is what I want to get into this month in this series, is manifesting liberation. Getting into the practice of metaphysics for the purpose of building the new world. I am Reverend Amani Malaika, and I am so very glad that you are here. And if you're in the Albuquerque area, I really, really, really deeply invite you, would love to spend time with you diving deeper into the art of manifesting, which I'll be teaching Saturdays for the month of May, and you can learn more at a website, ABQCSL.org. The divine plan is one of freedom, and we do well to listen to the inner voice that is speaking to us about a life wonderful in its scope. Love beyond our fondest dreams. This is the fundamental reason why I want us to practice metaphysics, why I want you to become artistic and your useful skills in manifesting. Because it's this relationship you and I have as emanations of the Holy Blessed One to the creative force that is the nature of the divine, this creative force that wants to birth itself into life itself for good, to experience the fullness of our aliveness and freedom is the purpose of the divine living itself through you. And so we make use of the spiritual law of resonance, the law of attraction, the law of cause and effect, right? All of these ways we talk about using spiritual law for the purpose of manifesting. We use these laws so that we can manifest the experience, the felt experience, the embodied reality of our divinity. And as we do that, as you and I commit ourselves to doing that, the external conditions and circumstances of our lives change for the better. And it's a mysterious thing. It is not a black and white, I wish for this, and then that thing happens. That is not what manifesting is. It is not a vision board or the perfect affirmation or toxic positivity. It is making use of spiritual law as a spiritual being because you are in relationship with your true and holy nature. It requires you and I to have faith in this truth that points to freedom, Ernest tells us. And I really love to turn to Ernest Holmes and the Science of Mind texts and much of his writing, because I think he teaches spiritual law and metaphysics really well. And I want us to remember why we practice manifesting, why we learn spiritual law. We do it because there is a thing in us seeking freedom. The whole point is freedom and liberation, yours and mine and the collective. And maybe because we commit ourselves to this practice, the very practice of manifesting our own liberation, manifesting the collective liberation, the very practice of knowing and embodying our true and holy nature as divine expression, as a manifestation of the divine, because we practice this, because we practice getting into relationship with this, because we practice the art of manifesting, we are able to meet the chaos and suffering in our lives, in the world, from a place that knows better, literally knows in every fiber of your being better. So you and I can't get duped by the chaos of these moments, of these times. You and I can't get duped by lies and false narratives and systemic structures of oppression. You and I can't get duped even by our own inner critic when we deeply practice the art of manifesting in the way that Ernest is talking about it, that we get in relationship with that still, small voice within that is always guiding us towards greater freedom. And from this place, from this relationship, our power, our spiritual power of creation, of co-creation, becomes usable. This is how we manifest. This is how we make use of spiritual law and practice metaphysics in a way that is so juicy and for such good. We might call it spiritual activism. Ernest also says in the Science of Mind text, in a prayer that he was writing as an example of how someone might have a greater experience of enough resources, enough love, enough finances, enough food, right? Enough. From leaving the experience of not enough and moving into the experience of enough. And part of the prayer that he wrote for this circumstance says, "Let every thought of doubt vanish from my mind, that I may know the truth, and the truth may make me free." Let every thought of doubt vanish from my mind, so that I may know the truth, and the truth will make me free. This is part of a prayer for abundance. This is part of a prayer for a greater experience of enough. That the doubt removed, right? The doubt that is vanished because you welcome grace, right? You allow the divine to help remove these thoughts of doubt. And as those thoughts of doubt vanish, the space in your own thinking, in your own mind, in your own belief opens up to truth. It's like this vacuum of truth gets to come in so that you can be made free. Not to fill your bank account, so that you can experience liberation, liberation from fear, liberation from doubt, liberation from lack. To get free of the BS, the anxieties that often take up the bulk of our attention. It is through the manifesting of abundance that Ernest is suggesting because you are praying for a different experience, and maybe the experience you are praying for, wishing for, visioning for, attempting to realize is one of abundance. And because you do that, you get closer to your freedom, because in order to manifest, whatever you're trying to manifest, you must know yourself as divine. You must know yourself as capable of making use of spiritual law as a spiritual being, to see and know and begin to embody beyond what you can see in front of you, to be able to see into a mystery that is always trying to give itself to you as your life for better and better and better good. It is always wishing to express itself through your life as more love, as more truth. Not because the truth is less true when you're unconscious, because you and I lose access to it consciously. So the prayer becomes that the manifestation that we seek is one of aligning ourselves with the truth of our being as divine emanations of the Holy Blessed One, so that we can have a greater experience of this divinity, of this truth. And because I do that, and because you do that, together we collectively manifest a changed world. I also want to say, and I talk about this a lot, particularly in social justice conversations and activism, the kind of activism we typically think of marching and creating change and breaking down systems and structures and dismantling. I deeply, deeply believe that that work is not useful, impactful, or successful if you and I are not spiritually aligned in the work. If you and I are not going to our change work, whatever that may be, protesting, marching, sending postcards, voting, whatever your change work may be, is deeply, deeply, deeply dependent on the success of that change work, is dependent on where you are coming from, who you are being in it. Are you coming from a place of us and them? Are you coming from a place of not enough? And if they don't share the piece of the pie, then nobody gets any pie? Like, where are you coming from? Are you coming from a place that says freedom is the birthright of every living soul? And I am a stand for this truth. And because I know that to be true in every fiber of my being, I move, I act based on this truth, because that is the only reality I want to be a part of manifesting. Because I know myself to belong to the greater reality. I know myself to belong as an emanation of this greater reality. I know that everything is available to me right now in this moment, because I am one with the one. The work is for you and I, whatever it is you are wanting to manifest in your life, whatever it is we want to manifest collectively. The work of that manifesting is always about aligning and unifying yourself, ourselves, with this truth. To get in the flow, get in the vibration, find the frequency of truth, and to be so deeply in relationship with it, in contact with it, that we become the embodiment of it consciously, on purpose. And it literally changes the frequency that you vibrate at, allowing you to become resonant, to magnetize the experiences and conditions that are a match for that. But first, align and unify with this truth. The I am that. The I am that I am. The I am a holy emanation of the Blessed One. This truth makes possible the manifestation of all the things. It starts here. But when we start to try to use the law of attraction and the law of resonance and the law of cause and effect from this place of fear and this feeling of not enoughness, we make mess. The very vibration we are wanting to meet, the sense of spaciousness and ease and freedom that we actually want to be experiencing, right? The fondest dreams you have of love that you want to be experiencing can't actually be met when you are contracted and shrunk and tight and scared and nervous and anxious about not enough. Think about for a moment, if you do not believe that more love is not available to you, if you do not believe that a greater experience of health is available to you, if you do not believe in the possibility of a flippin' fantastic future, you will not move towards it. Right? Won't even try. What's the point? If you don't think it's possible, you're not going to take action. You're not going to put yourself in the way of this dream. Take the big risks and the leaps of faith. This is part of the work. It's not just frequencies and vibrations. It's a lot of frequencies and vibrations, but it's also what you believe is possible is what you will move towards, what you will take action around, what you will put on your vision board. But you've got to be willing to believe as a spiritual being, as a life of God, that it's all possible for you. And maybe that's the first thing to manifest, is to align yourself, to unify yourself with the truth of who you are. And let the doubt of that vanish from your mind so that the spaciousness, the openness, the way towards the greater abundance, the greater love, the greater joy, the greater peace has a way through you, right? God can only do for us what it can do through us, through our practice of manifesting, through our practice of raising our own frequencies and vibrations so that then we can do the same for everybody we come in contact with. This is what becomes possible when we make manifesting an artistry for good, for liberation. Unifying is the second step in the science of mind, spiritual mind treatment, also known as affirmative prayer. The first step is you recognize that God is all there is. But I really want you to focus on this week as your homework, the second step, the unifying step. And because God is all there is, I know that I am it too. It is everywhere present at all times in me, as me, and through me and all around me and all the other parts of life and people and plants and creatures and air and light. That this presence, as the Quran says, is nearer than your jugular vein, closer than your breath. And you can unify with it consciously. That's the homework this week. You can practice the full 5 steps of prayer in the app. If you don't know about the app, get our newsletter so you can get on the app. I have a whole practice for you there. And there's also a simple, simple way to unify and raise your frequency because you unify yourself. And this is just one way to begin to work with the spiritual law of the universe, to hone your skills as a manifester, as a practitioner of metaphysics for liberation. And may you find your way into such a deep realization of the truth of who you are, that your very presence becomes a waymaker for liberation for all. Amen. And so it is.